All right. Well, welcome to this year's conference, established in 2021. The Danish Innovation Index is an independent project managed by researchers here at Aarhus University, Department of Management. It includes a ranking of 80 companies currently operating on the Danish consumer market. It represents 20 different industries. And currently, our dataset holds more than 2 million data points. We have 15 partner universities across the world managing the innovation indexes for their respective countries. 4 different continents are represented among the partners. And on that note, we are ready to present this year's Danish Innovation Index to you. So first, I would like to give a warm welcome to all of our participants, those that are joining here on Zoom and who we can see here, but also to all of you that are following via our live stream on the webpage. We cannot see you here on the screen, but we are very happy to have you here with us today. And also a very warm welcome to our keynotes. First, Christina, who has traveled all the way from the Netherlands to be here with us in Aarhus today and tell us about her research and companies and innovation from an environmentally sustainable perspective. And to Henrik, who represents a very innovative company within this important area of environmental sustainability, namely Naturli. And we are, of course, also very curious to hear more about innovation within this particular area. And then, of course, a warm welcome to all of our panelists who will join and who we will hear much more about later on. They all represent the top innovative companies within their respective sectors. So I'm sure that will be very interesting. I will just shortly give you an overview of the program. So we will start with our 2 interesting keynotes, one from academia and one from the industry. And then we will move on to the awards, where we present the top most innovative companies, as well as the winners from the different industries. And this is followed by a panel discussion on how these top performing companies approach innovation and their focus on sustainability in this process. And after that, we call it a day, and we will be enlightened with innovative and environmental sustainable perspectives in a great combination, I'm sure. So for those of you who do not know the DII, I'll give you a very short introduction. So DII is the first ranking of innovativeness of companies operating on the Danish market as it is perceived by consumers. So not company managers and not innovation experts, but consumers. So, as I said, it's consumer-based. It's a quarterly survey where we ask consumers to select the companies with which they have experience, and then we ask them to rate how innovative they find the company based on this experience. It's locally representative, so we focus on the Danish market, include companies from 20 different industries, corresponding to approximately 70% of the Danish household spending. So from here, we select the biggest market shares, companies with the biggest market shares and some wildcards. The consumer sample is representative of the Danish population in terms of age, gender, geographical location. So in that way, we aim for representativeness both in terms of companies and the consumers that we survey. Moreover, it's multidimensional, so we acknowledge that companies can be innovative in different ways. So we measure commercial initiatives, social initiatives, and digital initiatives in order to capture the broader aspect of innovation. It's a relevant project from several groups, for several groups. For us as researchers, it's highly relevant. It gives us a lot of data, a unique data set for scientific purposes. For our partners, because we collaborate a lot across universities, so several elements in these data collections are comparable. So we can actually compare the countries on innovativeness. Also for companies, because they get an opportunity to understand how consumers actually view them in terms of innovativeness. And of course, for customers in the end, because they will be the ones benefiting from companies being more innovative. Finally, also for the policymakers, we hope they can use the information to gain a deeper understanding of the level of innovativeness in different industries and how it can be supported. A big thank you to all of our partners. They are here, both from the Nordic countries, from Europe, and from the US. It has been a very good collaboration during the last 5 years, and we hope to continue this. And of course, big thanks to Carlsbergfonden, who has funded this, this infrastructure. And now I think it's time to welcome Christina Bittman, who's assistant professor at Utrecht University in the Netherlands. And Christina's research focuses a lot on this combination of innovation, entrepreneurship, and strategy. And she explores the how societal change processes, for instance, related to shifts to more sustainable and circular economies, reflects in the organization's innovation strategies. And I'm sure Christina will tell us much more about this today. So welcome to you, Christina. I will stop sharing my screen and then it's yours.
Yes, indeed. And I will share my screen. And I hope you can see my slides.
Yes, we see it.
Yeah, fantastic. Then good afternoon, everybody, also from my side. And thank you, Lena, and all the organizers for the very warm welcome. It's a true honor to be here today and speak about something that I'm very passionate about as a researcher and as an individual, the future of sustainable innovation. And the keynote, I titled it From Niche to Necessity, the Future of Sustainable Innovation. So what I'd like to do is to take you on a journey through the evolution of sustainability in business from something that was once seen as a niche concern to something that is now not just a trend, but a necessity for success in the future. Yeah, and why does sustainability matter? To start with this very big question, well, the world is inhabited by more people, of which a higher share live in cities and is older. And wealth has increased globally, creating a larger middle class, which uses more and more raw materials and causing increasing CO2 footprints and waste production. So as a result, global consumption currently goes beyond the Earth's regenerative capacity. So that's why sustainability matters on a societal level, so to say. On a business level, sustainability is no longer an optional add-on, I would argue. It's a strategic imperative. And this is a shift driven by several factors. First, consumer expectations have drastically changed. So today, consumers demand products and services that are not only high quality, but also ethically produced and environmentally responsible. and they care about what's in their food, where their products come from, and how businesses treat people and the planet. And second, we see regulatory frameworks are tightening around the world, forcing businesses to reduce their environmental impacts and improve transparency. And finally, corporate responsibility has moved beyond the buzzword. It's now really about measurable action. Sustainability, once seen as an additional cost, something to act upon, is now seen as a source of competitive advantage. And if businesses want to remain competitive, they must innovate in ways that align with the changing values of today's consumers, regulators, and society at large. But how did we get there? I promised to take you on a journey through the evolution of sustainability in business, and concretely 3 phases: sustainability as a niche concern, sustainability as a strategic imperative, and sustainability at the core. And I will also spend some words on the new frontier here at the bottom right, sustainability, from sustainability to regeneration. And you also see indications of the timeline and years, which I think hold on a high level, but we can also discuss if these phases are actually so clearly cut or whether they flow into each other. So let's step back for a moment and look at how sustainability has been viewed in the past. So for many years, sustainability was kind of an afterthought, something relegated to niche markets or limited to corporate social responsibility initiatives. Think about the early days of organic food, for instance, or electric vehicles. These products were seen as specialty items, either very expensive or only attractive to a small subset of eco-conscious, or some might even say hippie consumers. And it was often believed that sustainable meant sacrificing profit margins. And there was little understanding of the far-reaching benefits of sustainability for broader business growth. But as we see, that has changed. Today, sustainability is no longer a niche. It has become mainstream. Why? Because consumer demand for sustainable products and services has increased, and businesses are also responding accordingly. So what we're witnessing is the mainstreaming of sustainability, not just in the products we buy, but in the very way businesses operate. Companies are now designing products with environmental impact in mind, from energy efficient devices to biodegradable packaging, and they're rethinking their supply chains to reduce carbon footprints and waste. And at least in Western economies, it's now normal that there are entire shelves for organic products in supermarkets, or entire supermarkets for organic products. And it's normal to see electric cars on the road. And it's also rather standard to include ecological consideration when constructing new buildings or when designing urban spaces and rethinking our cities. So, and importantly, looking at these developments, and in comparison to the former phase, we do not only see small entrepreneurs in niches pushing for sustainable innovation, but also bigger companies. And that is important. We need both the small entrepreneurs and the big corporations for mainstreaming. And that is the idea of the framework that is on the slide here, taken from a scientific article, which refers to the David and the Goliath narrative to explain the following dynamic. So the small startups, the emerging Davids, we need them to push radical change, and they have typically a high sustainability performance, but not a lot of market share. And the incumbent corporations, the greening Goliath, as they're called here. Well, they have a lot of market share, and both are needed to push the sustainability transformation of an industry forward. And in a lot of cases, we see that this transformation is underway, and efforts are also going beyond greening in the sense of implementing eco-efficiency and complying with regulation. So companies are starting to do more than that, more than complying with what they have to do. And this is why this third phase, I label it sustainability at the core. So I really see that today companies cannot afford to overlook sustainability, and it's become woven into the core strategy. So companies that fail to innovate for sustainability risk being left behind, and those who manage to integrate it well are thriving. So what does it look like in practice? Sustainability product design is only one example. Companies are actively rethinking materials they use, ensuring that products can be reused, recycled, or biodegraded. The supply chains are being reconfigured. Companies are sourcing raw materials more responsibly, reducing emissions, increasing transparency about what is happening in their supply chain, in their operations. And then there's also entirely new business models emerging that are driven by sustainability. And the rise of the circular economy, where waste is minimized and products are reused or recycled, that's a prime example. And instead of this linear take, make, dispose, companies are often nowadays embracing a circular approach that keeps resources in use for as long as possible. And we also see that much of European regulation is pushing this. Many current and upcoming regulations aim to promote sustainability by increasing transparency and also accountability and circular economy practices in the supply chain. So extended producer reliability, for instance, has mandated that producers are responsible for the entire life cycle of their product, including post-consumer waste management. And the CSRD, the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, is a European regulation that requires some, well, less than planned companies, but some, to disclose detailed sustainability data, focusing on environmental, social, and governance factors. And the digital product passport is planned to provide detailed information about the product's materials, origin, the life cycle, to enable ultimately better recycling and better reuse. So those are only a few examples, but I think here we see it. From niche to necessity, it's really not optional anymore for companies to act and implement sustainable innovation. And then let me close reflections on the state of the art with a look at the strategies we can actually use for integrating sustainability and circularity. What is being done? What could be done? So the R ladder that you see here is a framework often referred to in circular economy research. And the basic point is that there's 10 strategies that companies can use, funnily all starting with an R. So reduce, recycle, refurbish, and so on, the R strategies. And some, those at the bottom, are still somewhat closer to the linear economy. So for instance, recovery or recycling, not letting waste go to waste, so to say. And then in the middle, we have strategies that aim at extending product life cycles. For instance, repair, reuse, refurbishing. And at the very top, we see those strategies that relate to smarter use of products. such as smart manufacturing, for instance, the reducing of input materials, sharing products. And at the very, very top, you see refuse. And this is one that often leads to questions. So reviews, that sounds weird, but actually we do see some business models that also aim at encouraging a more sufficient, sustainable lifestyle. So a famous example is, for instance, Patagonia's Don't Buy This Jacket campaign, which they ran on Black Friday in the New York Times. And yeah, Patagonia said it's time that businesses make fewer things, but higher quality. And that customers need to think twice before they buy. No? Basically, that was their motivation to run this campaign. And they also said that they are a company that wants to enter in a relationship with the customer to make sustainability work. So they say, for instance, we make products that last a longer time. You don't buy what you don't need. Or they say, we help you to repair our product, the Patagonia jacket. You pledge to try and fix it when it's broken instead of buying something new right away. We help to find a new place for a jacket that you do not longer wish to wear, but you again pledge to take it back to the store and kind of help us do that. So they offer a second-hand market, facilitate that the jackets are reused, also then by others. So they aim at encouraging a sufficiency lifestyle and a much more conscious consumption in their customers. And another example, and I find that highly interesting because it's actually a long-standing one, and not so much on sufficiency, but on smart collaboration, is Kalundborg, a place which many of you might know better than me because it's in Denmark. So it's the first functioning example, and very often highlighted in sustainability research, of industrial symbiosis. So it's based on public-private partnerships between quite a number of firms. And the other interesting thing is that it exists for over 50 years already. So Kalundborg Symbiosis is an industrial park in which the partners have completely interlocked their energy and resource flows. And initially, they did not refer to this as industrial symbiosis, but just as working together is smart business. So, and yeah, I think it's 17 partners, industrial companies that connect their water, energy, and material flows. So excess steam from a power plant is used to heat water for algae production, and the old water from that production is designed to cool some other plant. So the whole industrial park is designed to interlock resource flows. And some years ago, they undertook a life cycle assessment, what this actually kind of means in terms of resource reduction and also savings. So they use 4 million, or they say 4 million of cubic meters of groundwater because they use surface water instead of groundwater. They almost managed to save 600,000 tons of CO2 emissions, and 60,000 tons of residual materials are recycled. So that shows also this analysis that annually they almost managed, by connecting enterprises in this smart way, to save around 180 million Danish krona. So it just also makes a lot of business sense. All right, so from these examples, I close this reflection on these three phases, but I also promised to talk a bit about the new frontier. And this is moving from sustainability to regeneration. So there's currently a lot of debate in sustainability research that sustainability as a concept is in a way only the first step. So moving forward, that we need to shift from minimizing harm to actively create positive impact. And this is then where regenerative business practices come in. So regeneration goes beyond just reducing negative impacts. It's about restoring and enhancing the environment, society, and the economy. So we're talking about regenerative agriculture, restorative practices in manufacturing, and regenerative design that does not only avoid environmental harm, but actively works towards rebuilding ecosystem. So from net zero, a term we very often hear, to net positive. And it stays exciting as this is a transformative shift, and it will define that the way that businesses thrive in the coming decades. But of course, this shift won't be without its challenges. So companies are still dealing with legacy business models that are really difficult to change. There's resistance to change in many organizations, and especially those whose operations have long been based on linear and extractive models. And regulatory frameworks can also be complex, and the upfront costs of making shifts to a business model can feel very daunting. But with all those challenges also come many opportunities. So companies that lead the way in regenerating natural resources, creating restorative ecosystems, and also managing to collaborate and interlock their business models, that should be the innovation leaders of tomorrow. New markets are emerging for regenerative products and services, and collaboration across industries, but also geographies and sectors will just be key in overcoming these challenges. So as we move into this new era, I think one thing is clear, so that companies that embrace sustainable innovation will be the ones that succeed, and that sustainability is no longer like a separate agenda, but really core of corporate success. So with this, I'd like to close, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christina. I think that was very inspiring and interesting to see how this has evolved over time, and how it can also be quite complex to be to transition into a sustainable company, but it is required by the markets and all this, and in order to stay in the market. And Darius, perhaps there are, I think we have time for a question, maybe, if there's anything.
Yes, so the viewers are invited to share their questions with us through the YouTube chat feature. But one question that I would have is, since we are an innovation index that takes its approach departing from the consumer's view of the company's innovativeness, my question would be, do these strategies that you refer to also take into account the consumer or the customer, and in which regard?
So the strategies are the evolution of these 3 stages of sustainability integration in business, if you will. I think consumer choices and consumer education and thinking about consumer wants is really at the core also. It's one of these big 3 key drivers that I think led from sustainability being in a niche product to becoming mainstream. And there's different customer types nowadays. So I think that's what I alluded in a bit in the very beginning, that maybe in the early days, sustainable products were something considered a bit for, I don't know, the hippie rebel, the tree huggers or so, and that's really not the case anymore. So we see that consumers demand more attention to what is in their food and how the product is being reduced and so on. To companies, we see it, well, okay, that's then not consumers, that's then maybe more the future generation of employees and new hires. But I think in general, society cares much more about corporate practices regarding sustainability. And yeah, it would be great to discuss it later on also, what role companies have in responding to changing demands versus also really creating new demands and pushing things forward.
Lovely. And I'm delighted that we have time later where you will be joining me in the panel discussion. And we're out of time, so Lina, back to you.
Yes. So I would like to welcome now our next keynote who represent our practical perspective this year. And I'm happy to welcome you, Henrik Lund, as our next speaker. Henrik is head of development at Naturli', which I think it's fair to say that it's the #1 developer of plant-based food, and of course highly relevant for sustainable innovation in Denmark. So we are very happy to have you here, Henrik, and the screen is yours now.
Thank you so much. I'm trying to, I just wanted to, can you see me?
We see your slide. We do not see you yet.
1 minute. Let's see. There I am. And as last year, Naturli' is always on the move, constantly developing and moving through the Danish landscape. But thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Henrik Lund, and I'm representing Naturli', the plant-based pioneer out of Denmark, the market leader within plant-based food in the Danish market. And it's all about the change. We also see ourselves as challengers of conventional thinking. And when we say that, we mean it in the way that we would like to change mainstream consumers' food habits by offering and embracing them with tasty, functional, good plant-based products at an affordable price. And we come a long way in this journey. For those of you who don't know about our company, I can say that just shortly that we were founded in 1988. Back then, it was only milk alternatives that we sold in the Danish market. And today our organic oat drink is, since it was launched in the 90s, it has been the most popular and most sold plant-based milk alternative in the Danish market year by year. So we're really proud of that. And in 2010, Naturli' was acquired by an old Danish company called the Dragsbæk Group. They produce margarine in the northwestern part of Denmark, and I would say they were also pioneers because already in 2010 they saw that there would be a growing market for plant-based food options. So they acquired Naturli' 100%, and that's actually what gave us the possibility to expand our plant-based journey into new categories. And I would say that the way we do innovation in Naturli' is, we call it actually consumer-driven innovation. And in 2017, we launched, which is known today as one of our hero products. And if you ask me, I would say it's the best plant-based butter alternative in the market. And we actually developed this together with the many hundred thousands of people who was following us on Facebook, because we asked them what they would like us to develop for them. And they all said, we need some plant-based butter that actually tastes good and is also affordable. And we did that, and it became a major success. Then we followed it up by our plant-based minced, 100% plant-based minced, a food component you can take home to your own kitchen. You can make the lasagna, the bolognese, or whatever you would like as a food component. And it's even today, it's also still in the meat aisle. And I think this is the biggest game changer that Naturli has done for the whole plant-based industry in Denmark, opening the real categories to the industry. So our spreadable today is placed in the butter shelves. Our plant-based milk alternatives are standing as neighbors to cow milk. Our meat-free options are in the meat aisle. And this has been a big step in embracing mainstream consumers. So I think that is the biggest gain we had in this innovation universe, where we include the consumers into that work alongside our customers, the retailers and the food service. But yeah, this is a AI generated picture of me. I think this is how our competitors in the animal protein alternatives sector look at Naturli, as a new religious thing that tries to save the whole world, shouting it out. That is not right, because what we focus on in Naturli is actually taste, functionality, bringing the consumers a good experience at an affordable price. But I think it's funny, and I think we will let this picture stay while I will give you my keynote speech. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be giving you the keynote at the Danish Innovation Index 2025 to discuss something that has the potential to revolutionize not only our personal health, but the future of our planet. That topic is the power of plant-based eating. In recent years, we've seen a significant shift in how people approach food as we become more conscious of our well-being, the environment, and the world we live in. One thing is clear: plant-based diets are becoming a central part of the conversation. Let's begin with the most personal reason to me: our health. Research has shown that a plant-based diet is not just a trendy choice, but a pathway to a longer, healthier life. A diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and legumes is packed with essential vitamins, minerals, for our bodies to function at their best. Studies have linked plant-based food options to lower risks of chronic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, and certain cancers. Eating more plants helps to regulate blood sugar, reduce cholesterol, lower blood pressure, and promote a healthy weight. It's not just about avoiding the bad, it's about fueling our bodies with the good, giving us the energy and vitality to live life to its fullest. But the benefits don't stop at our health. A plant-based diet is also one of the most effective ways we can reduce our environmental footprint. Our food choices directly impact the planet we share with future generations. Animal agriculture is a leading contributor to climate change, deforestation, and water scarcity. By choosing plant-based foods, we are reducing the demand for animal products, which means fewer resources are used to raise and transport livestock. We can conserve water, protect forests, and lower greenhouse gas emissions, all while still enjoying a delicious and nutritious area of foods. There's also an ethical argument for eating plant-based. In an era where we are more aware than ever to the treatment of animals, many choose plant-based foods to align their choices with their values. For countless animals raised in factory farms, the conditions are less than human. Choosing plant-based options helps to advocate for more ethical food systems that promote kindness and respect for all living beings. The good news is that plant-based eating isn't just for a select few. It's accessible to anyone, regardless of where you live or your budget. In fact, eating plant-based can be incredibly cost-effective, especially when you rely on whole foods like beans, grains, and seasonal vegetables. Additionally, plant-based food is incredibly diverse, from hearty stews to vibrant salads, savory stir fries to delectable desserts. Plant-based meals offer endless variety and flavors. The transition is not about restriction. It's about exploration and embracing new foods that nourish both the body and the soul. In closing, the reasons to adapt a plant-based diet are many. It's a commitment to our health, to the environment, and to ethical food choices. It's a move toward a more sustainable, compassionate, and vibrant way of living. So from me, I encourage each of you to consider making small changes in your diet, one meal at a time. Whether you go fully plant-based or simply add more plants to your plate, every step counts. Together, we have the power to make a lasting impact on our health and our planet. Thank you. And just to give you some examples on how we would like to help you on that journey, I would also like to show you some new innovation from the last year that we've done. And again, we have listened to our consumers, we have listened to our customers on creating some new category choices. And I would like to start at the left. Actually, the fastest moving segment in the plant-based market all over Europe is actually seafood options. And together with Selling Group, we just launched 3 new products. It's Shrimply the Best, Shrimps and Brine, Cavi. I know that product. And a smoked product, cold smoked, real cold smoked in the cold smoke oven for 5 hours. You have a sort of smoked salmon. What's amazing about these 3 new products is that they are not placed in a dull vegan chiller in the dark corner of the supermarkets, but they're actually in the seafood category, placed next to smoked salmon and shrimps and brine. The big difference is that these products are an affordable choice for consumers. They are almost half the price of the real fish products. So what we have seen since we launched the products in week 3 is that they're also really popular among mainstream consumers. And I think this is the way to go forward. For innovators in the plant-based industry, we have to think about that innovating plant-based food can come with a premium price. You need to base the prices at the same level as the animal protein alternatives out there. In the middle, you see a big success that we launched 1 year ago. Naturally switches and wraps in all Netto stores in Denmark and also all the Føtex supermarkets. Again, at the same price as conventional animal protein sandwiches. The only difference is actually, both for the convenience sandwiches and also on the seafood products, that we have a way longer shelf life on the products, which is not only coming with a lower carbon footprint, but it also helps reducing food waste. Another big problem that we have to do something about. And on the right side, of course, in Naturally, we had to also give our pitch to really nutritious and tasty protein products. So now you can not buy naughty bars, but nutty bars from Naturally at a real bargain price of 10 kroners. And in all Netto Føtex Bilka stores, you can also find our high-protein drinks, 330 ml, loaded with 24 grams of protein, vitamins, and calcium. So it's actually easy to make a choice. What I would like to also show you, and I don't know how much more time I have. I will look at my, I have a little bit more time. So what is incredible valuable to us is that the consumers also embrace our new products. And just to give you some examples on that, you can see all the comments that we have when we post about new products. We have now 800,000 people following us. We don't call them followers because to us they are very, very valuable. So they are 800,000 ambassadors who help us innovate products of the future. We ask them for their opinion, and we love the interaction that we have with our ambassadors on social media, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. I encourage you to follow Naturally because it's not dull. We do everything with a glimpse in the eye. And when we actually developed our sandwiches, we of course asked our ambassadors how these sandwiches should be like. So just to show you how our consumers are posting pictures when they found our sandwiches in their local store. And yeah, this is amazing. It's starting a viral movement of plant-based goodness. So that is really, really important to us. And people, they also use a lot of time commenting on our products. And I think it's so amazing that people actually spend time on doing things like that for our small Naturally company. And I could go on and on. This is when we launched our seafood line, also with a lot of lovely interaction with consumers and a lot of thumb ups from the people seeing this on our social media channels. Yeah, and again, I could go on and on and on because this was something completely new in the seafood segment in the supermarkets in Denmark. And yeah, isn't it amazing? And look to the right, all the lovely smørrebrød on rye bread you can do with our new products. Now we only need to also innovate the fish fillet, but who knows? Maybe in a not far future we will also have that, so you can make the stjerneskud that is very popular in Denmark. So it is a hype on SoMe at the moment. Try these products. It will be a really, really good exploration for you. And of course, not to forget, the biggest category in Europe is milk alternatives, and it's just growing year by year. And we are seeing, and that's of course also really good for us, maybe not so good for the dairy industry, but we see that the volumes of cow milk are going down and the volumes of milk alternatives made from plants are going up. It is like this, that 60% of all milk alternatives sold in Europe are used in a connection with coffee. So that is, of course, also something that we really embrace. And what we have done with a lot of our products is also bring a flavor experience to our consumers. And they really like when we innovate and make a tasty pumpkin spice. In Europe, we were the first company to introduce this in the market. And it's very lovely to see that our plant-based colleagues in the industry are now looking at what we're doing in Naturally and copying us. And I welcome this. This is really, really positive because they are our colleagues. So this is also part of the growth journey in a more sustainable food choice. Thank you very much for listening to me from the sunny weather in Jutland.
Thank you very much, Henrik. It was very interesting, and seeing all these products, I mean, it's really amazing. I think there's time for one question, and I would actually like to ask that now you work so much with consumers and the consumer-driven innovation.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, the needs that consumers can express. They can tell, oh, we would like this and we would like that. But you also seem like very proactive as a company. So how much do you think, beyond what consumers can currently express, and which is more like something they may not know that they need?
Yeah. We use a lot of analysis and insights from our own mother company, the Darius-Aurel Group. We have a lot of insights. They're really good at collecting all these data points. We have a dedicated data division in the Darius-Aurel Group giving us these insights. And in the Darius-Aurel Group, in Naturally, we're also working along with the big ingredient suppliers from all over Europe. We believe the future is for strong partnerships. And it is like synergy, 2 and 2 makes 5. So we get a lot of insights from the big ingredient companies that we have in Europe that we work together with. They have some very, very big R&D departments. And we collect all these insights, and you could say we also develop together with them and make plans. But it's important to us also to integrate our customers in our plans and also the consumers at a later point. We also interact with consumers while we are doing the innovation, because this also gives us very valuable insights that we can share with our customers. So that, I think, is it like 90% of all new launches in the food space, in the supermarkets, they're gone after 6 months.
That's
and
true.
we do a lot of work to ensure that when we launch a new product, it will stay on the shelves, because we secure our customers that we launch high rotating products. And that is also very important. Also in a way, more sustainable when you think about packaging, sourcing ingredients, all the work you put into it, all the energy consumed in a product launch.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Henrik.
You're welcome.
And don't leave us yet, because there's a panel discussion coming up.
Oh, yes,
and
we will hear
I will
more
stay.
panel
I will stay.
discussion.
I would
That's
say
good.
it's really interesting, and a really, really interesting presentation from Christina. I have to may add. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you. And then I think I will just give the screen to Helle, who will
Thank you
now,
very much, because what's up next is this year's results, and of course we're very happy to share that as well. And I will share my presentation with you here. Oops. So now we come to the annual awards. So we'd like to show you who this year's winners are, of course. And as Lina mentioned in her presentation, we do actually measure more than just one measure of innovativeness. We have the overall Danish Innovation Index, which is a measure of, you could say, how companies do from more a kind of commercial side. So how do they do innovative things in the market? How are they being creative, and how do consumers perceive them in that way? So that's kind of the main index that we have. But we also look more on social innovativeness, which means offerings that benefit society and also people. And then we have digital innovativeness, which where we look at, so how are these companies doing on advanced digital products. And without further ado, I will see if I can get this going to this year's results. And as you can see, well, we have some of the same companies that we had last year. I've put some arrows on so we can see whether they're going up and whether they're going down. And the yellow ones are the newcomers on the top 10. So these are the top 10 companies in the Danish Innovation Index measuring innovativeness overall. So we have Lego as the high flyer again. They also went up. They were first on the ranking last year as well, but the numbers went up for them. And of course, we have, you could say, what people use their spare time on is very much high on the list, but also what naturally, as the only one in the food category, is up there with a lot of the good companies and also going up. And interesting enough, we have also a local Danish company, Mikkeller, in the beer industry, as one of the newcomers on the top 10. So that's very interesting to see also how things are evolving and changing a little bit. I put in before I go to the other awards, I've gone to the. I'd like to show you the industry winners, because of course there's a variation within the industry. So some industries seem to be perceived as more innovative than others, and of course you could say the at least on the one side, the ones that do the best are also on our top 10. So these are all winners of their industries, and they fare very well on the index. But there are also some industries like supermarkets, carriers, airlines, electricity, and delivery that overall do not have such a high ranking, but they are still able to win their industry, which means they're winning their category. So companies also have to think about what are we going to be the most innovative company in the world or in our industry. So I'd like to kind of give a tribute to all of them. They are at least, if not totally on the top 10, they are still winning their kind of category. And I think that's important to think about as well. Now, going back to the different measures of innovativeness that we have, I mentioned the digital innovativeness. So this is, again, advanced digital products and services. How do consumers perceive that the companies do on these in this area? And again, the consumer electronics and also toys and games going up. We have a newcomer here with the Nintendo. So a lot of what people are spending their spare time on, again, as you can see. And then we have another newcomer, which is interesting. Danske Bank came up on this top 10 on the digital innovativeness this year. And of course, we have some companies that are also going down a bit, but they are still on the top 10. And then to a measure which is closer to this year's, you could say, topic, which is the social innovativeness, both benefiting the society and environment, is what we are looking at here. And we have a fair amount of newcomers also with Bang & Olufsen, also a local Danish company, Undo, and maybe surprisingly, Arla doing good on benefiting society and the environment. But of course, we also know that they are taking actions to increase or perform better in that part of their business. But a lot of them are also going up. We also have teaser on this one, and some of course also within mobility. And then I will show you, because what we have also been looking at is, so what is it that drives, you could say, how consumers perceive companies as being innovative? And if we look at the intersection between these measures, it gives us an idea that you can probably either go with the more social or sustainability focus, or you can go with a digital focus. But there's actually last year we had only one company right in the middle, which was Zetland. But this year we have two companies in the middle, also Undo. And of course, I have to say that Undo has closed down as a company and been included totally in Tryg Forsikring, which when they see this, they might regret having closed down the company. I don't know. we'll have to think about that. Well, maybe we should talk with them about that later. But as you can see, some companies are really kind of being within, so the Nintendo and Apple, right between focusing on innovation but the digital part, and other companies to a larger extent this year than last year perform very well, both on what we would call the social innovation and the kind of normal innovation index. So we see these movements around very interesting and new. And one last thing that I would like to show you before we kind of conclude this is the latest measures that we have included, where we focus specifically on the environmental sustainability, right? We had the social is kind of both for society and the environment, but here we have measured how consumers perceive these companies on how they protect our natural resources through sustainable initiatives. It could be efficient use of raw materials, recycling, minimization of pollution, and diversity in plants and wildlife. And I have to congratulate you again, Henrik, with being on top of this list. So it's definitely so that the consumers, they recognize what you are doing, what your company is doing within this, and something that may be surprising is that there's actually quite a lot of food industries or food companies in this scale. We know that there can be a problem with the animal production instead of plant-based, but at least it's clear that consumers are seeing that this area is really moving, and we can also see that both supermarkets and also Carlsberg is with the drink and beer, and it might be related to the fact that there's been quite a lot of media coverage on the fact that Carlsberg is focusing on saying that a lot of the raw materials need to come from regenerative production. So it's interesting to see that focusing specifically on the environment gives us a different picture, something to support also the general view of how innovative companies are. Yes, that was it. And I will stop sharing my screen so that you can continue with the panel discussion. I did not stop sharing.
Yeah, I think you stopped sharing now. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, then I will hand over to Darius, who will present the panel and lead the discussion there. Yes. So here you go, Darius.
Thank you very much. I'll quickly organize this. So yes, welcome everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here for today's panel discussion on sustainable innovation. And now we have a bit more time than previously planned, but I'm still convinced that with the panel speakers that we have invited, we have less time than the excellent stories they could share. So this year's conference focuses on how integrating sustainable practices can enhance innovation in customer-centric companies across Denmark. We've already heard a few examples from Naturli, but we have a great set of panel speakers that I'll introduce shortly. In this session, we aim to highlight inspiring success stories, provide cross-industry insights, and offer actionable takeaways. All in all, in an interactive, engaging, and concise format. So we encourage you, the viewers, to participate by sharing your questions in the chat. And let's dive in. I have with me a few familiar and new faces. So among the new faces, here is Marie Innemark Olsen, who is a Senior Director in Human Rights Reporting and Responsible Sourcing at the LEGO Group. Marie has 15 years of experience in consulting on and managing CSR. She has 10 years of experience at the LEGO Group on topics related to sustainable sourcing, and she's a board member of the Ethical Supply Chain Program. Welcome, Marie. Next panelist is Katharina Dybdahl. She's an ESG and communication director at Nemly.com. She has 10 years of experience in consulting, primarily external communications, and is specialized in public affairs and business development. And then I'm happy that Henrik stays around. And for those who haven't gotten the memo, Henrik is the CEO of Naturli'. He's also the self-proclaimed Chief Karma Officer, and I checked, this is still on your profile as of today, with more than 15,000 followers. Henrik is also chairman of the Danish Plant-Based Food Association and has more than 25 years of experience in sales and managing positions, with the longest in Dausbeck, the parent company of Naturli' Foods. And then I'm also joined by Christina Bittmann, our assistant professor in innovation studies, who delivered the academic keynote, who will join us in the cross-industry discussion that follows our case-by-case discussion. So a quick introduction round so that our viewers get to know the panelists. I would like to ask into the round that each representative gives a short statement on maybe a sustainability related innovation in their company, or something that just excites them about the topic, why they're in this domain and with us. So anyone can just unmute and go.
I can be brave and break the floor if you want, Darius. For me, it was two different questions you asked. What excited me the most and what was an exciting things? Because there are different things that also triggers you personally. But I think one thing that is interesting for this group here and the audience here that I want to bring forward is probably our change to reducing single-use plastic in our packaging. It's not something that I have my own sort of taken it directly in the innovation path, but of course it's something that the entire company have worked to change towards. It's actually what we are looking at right now is that we all our factories globally have started the production of these paper-based bags, and 30% of all of our lines have been upgrading to this, and that has been a major journey for the LEGO Group. It might seem like a small thing, but as you probably now, we're also talking about consumer companies. There's quite a lot of also feelings around what a LEGO product is and how it is when you open it, etc. So there's also been quite a lot of efforts behind that to understand what does consumer wants and how do we deliver them the experience that they actually want to. And same listening to some of their concerns around sustainability and environment at the moment, but we can talk more about that later. But that was one example I want to bring forward.
Thank you. Katharina, do you want to go next?
Absolutely, I can go next. I was just pressing on mute. So you asked us an initiative we're proud of and maybe one that sparked innovation. And I would dare maybe to turn that causality a little bit around for Nemly at least, and say that I think that our innovative business model, being the only pure player in groceries, is actually at its very core the thing that enables several of the sustainability initiatives where we at least far outcompete the physical stores. An example for us could, for example, be food waste. It's a big agenda in our industry, and we have a 0.4% food waste, which accounts for around a third of what the physical stores is. So that's a huge difference, and it's a big sustainability agenda. And it's something that we can do better simply because we buy better to forecast and we don't lose product in the store. And then also we manage far better our donations to food waste NGOs and the like. So that's at least one initiative where I think our innovative business model, at least in our line of, or in our part of the world in groceries, really makes a difference for our opportunity to also lead within sustainability.
Thank you.
And follow. So from a researcher perspective, what was for me very, very interesting and triggered me to look into that topic and go into academia is how you see many different company types interacting to transform markets to sustainability, and also entirely new company types emerging. So that is fascinating. And then now also hearing to Henrik's talk, like these many new ways and formats that companies engage with customers as a very important stakeholder group. I think that is very fascinating and inspirational in the sense that we see a lot of companies actually really pushing forward and doing voluntarily, not only mandated things, to advance sustainability transformation.
I think we'll discuss more about this. Henrik.
Yeah, I would say I'm really proud that we have taken upon ourselves in the Turley / the Dragsbæk group to be part of the green transition in Danish agriculture, meaning that we strive to use crops from Danish farmers. We are actually right now part of a big science project called Potential, together with Seges Innovation in Agro Food Park in Aarhus, the Innovation Center under Organic Denmark, Døler, which is a very, very, very big ingredient company from Germany, and also Valsemøllen, where we search simply for the best oat, and we search actually in the Nordic plant gene bank in Sweden, when it comes to make a great oat drink that has the best nutritional score, but also has the best yield for Danish farmers. And I think this research is also from a sustainable look at things. We also make a liquid, you could say a liquid rye bread drink now, where we use organic rye from Danish farmers. So being part of the green transition in the Danish agriculture is really, really important to us. And since 2018, we have done carbon footprint LCA studies on all our products. And that is, of course, also a new KPI. And that's also why we try to source crops and ingredients for our products as close to the place where we've used it, which is in Jutland, in Denmark. And I think this is also something that we can be proud of, that we are of a green transition in the Danish agriculture.
Very inspiring. I'll get back to that, and also to a few things that I have in mind during your keynote.
You're welcome.
So in the next segment, I want to go into more depth with each of our panelists, and I'll start with Lego and Marie. So as you have seen in the ranking that has been presented, you are our all-time top scorer in terms of innovativeness. It might be slightly biased since we are asking Danish consumers, but from what I understand, Lego has worked diligently on its sustainability agenda, and is working towards innovating sustainably. And that's something that I want to stress. It's, for me, the understanding of sustainable innovation is the two things. It is being more sustainable, but also innovating sustainably. So to be innovative also in the long stretch in the future. But what is your take on this? And could you describe the overall Lego Group sustainability ambition? And how you're responding to consumer expectations.
It's quite of a long one, so I'll try to do it short here, and also speak to some of the points that I'm most familiar with, because I think part of this is, of course, also when you represent a company like the LEGO Group, and working on sustainability, you're one out of many. So this is there's quite a big of a well-rounded machine behind delivering our sustainability agenda in the LEGO Group, with many experts in each of the field across the LEGO business globally. So I'll just try to give a little bit of a highlights of how it is that we look upon sustainability. And in particular, I think also Darius, you asked on us sort of being that consumer-centric company, because of course that also has is relevant in this respect here. So I think we've all established now, I mean, that climate change and sustainability is sort of most urgent crisis that are facing us and future generations. And of course, the future generations is what we also focus on, right? That's that's who we want to serve, and that's core to the company mission, right? And we are actually receiving quite a lot of letters from children around the world, asking us how we can make and giving us ideas also around how we can make a difference in the world. And that's definitely quite dear to us, that we need to respond to that, because that's who we are, right? And we actually also doing quite a lot of data gathering, saying the same story, saying how it is that consumers and customers are really caring about the environment. We had a study last year, which we call the LEGO Play Well report. That's also coming out with some quite interesting statistics. For example, that 55% of parents are concerned about the impact on environmental on their children's lives. 83% of children say that they care about protecting the environment, and 80% of parents say that their child suffer from anxiety and fear of the environment. So it's huge numbers of children and concerns around the world, right? And of course, we need to listen to that, because we ultimately believe that our products are also there to help children learn and thrive in the world around them. And we need to look at, when we do that and grow up our business and engage more children in LEGO Play, we do it in a way where we limit our effect of our operations into the environment. So that's sort of just the core of how it is that we do it. If I just quickly talk about what is then sustainability, not going into the details of it, but sustainability in the LEGO Group is three things. It's a focus on children. So how do we bring more children, play to children in around the world for them to thrive and really sort of build their skills. So that's one part. We have the people section, and you also talked about social innovation, etc., but really being that inclusive and responsible workplace across our entire value chain. So that also meaning our suppliers and partners. And then lastly, which I think also where you want to have a little bit focus, is this around how we protect our planet and ensure that the LEGO brick never goes to waste. And I think that's the key here. And on this never go to waste, I think that's just where I think there's good appetite of going a little bit more into that one here, because we actually do have an ambition of being that in 2032, all of our bricks and elements are made from more materials that are renewable and recycled. And that is a major journey, a major transition that we're also looking into in the company, and one that comes with quite unique challenges, because we've all played with Lego, right? We all have some feelings around how it is in our hands and what's the sound when we drop it on the floor, etc. So we have quite strong feelings around it. And because they're made for children, they need to be extremely safe. And that puts some requirements on what we can use to actually produce that. They need to last for long. We all know that. They can't go, so they need to be really strong quality. And then they also need to be made of something where it actually fits with a brick 60 years from now. So again, we need to have that longevity, and that is just a major transformation challenge that we're also looking in. And we've already tested more than 600 different materials on LEGO bricks and elements and done some really significant progress in that. So I think that's just want to bring in, that's definitely one that takes a lot of time. That of course there are many others, but this one is, we know, is the core. and we know that that is where we also for future generations need to succeed. I'm just pausing here, Darius, because I don't know how much time we have.
We have time. I'm
I'm
listening. Fascinated.
But maybe I should just pause there, and then we can pick up on some other things later. Is that okay?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want me to go with another panelist or pose the next question? Yeah.
No, you can
or
maybe go with an... Yes, you can, Henrik.
Can I add a comment?
Yes.
First of all, big congratulations to Maria and Lego for the first place, which I think is so well deserved. I think your new brilliant innovation with Lego flower bouquets is just the best example of your first place in innovation. And I mean, in a sustainable innovation. We all know that fresh flowers, demand so much energy. We fly in red roses from Holland, the Netherlands, and now you can just go to your Lego store, buy a flower bouquet, and it will last forever. That's the best present you can bring to a party, to the host. So please do so. No, big congratulations on that innovation. I think it's amazing.
Well received. Thank you, Henrik.
So I would have one more question before I go with the next one, and that's innovating as a global company that must add extra challenges in aligning with the multinational actors and stakeholders in this. Is this something that's like striking a tone for you, or?
You mean the significance of the change needed and the effect of it globally? I mean, as I started, I mean, the change internally is significant, right? And there are sort of so many people working on this agenda within the Lego Group. And of course, every change that we made in our efforts for more sustainable innovation have an impact on our entire value chain and also on our supply chain, right? So there is a significant also set of requirements to our suppliers. Of course, on the environmental side of things, testing new materials, that also brings forward a lot of other sort of challenges and new industries that we need to look into and understand what are risks there. We have quite high standards engaging with our suppliers and partners, and whenever we make changes to the core, that also requires that we need to look at any new partners and suppliers with fresh eyes and look into what it is that their industry is, and then make sure that they live up to the standards that we've had for many years. So that transition is significant, right? I would then also say, and I think you and I talked a little bit about it before, there's also the transition that we are driving ourselves, that sort of the strategy that we have, the ambition that we have, that is one significant sort of a machine on us, and where we really need to deliver on that. But that's a very, you can say, inside out perspective. That's the mark we want to set on the world around us. That's our strategy. That's how we believe we want to be in the future. But we and many other companies are facing quite a lot also with the perspective from an outside in, requirements coming in on us. There is a significant growing sort of landscape on ESG requirements around, requirements on reporting, on due diligence, things that tie into to trade and export, etc. There's so many requirements on us. And that is also a reality that we need to relate to. So it's constantly that sort of that balance between setting the bar high and being ambitious and being innovative and understanding what mark we want to put on the world, and then understanding, well, in order to stay competitive, there are a set of rules, a set of guidelines, a set of regulations that we also need to respond to. And I think that's not only us in our company, but all companies are really struggling with the balance on those two right now. And it's taking a lot of time and taking a lot of investment. And I think the fear is that time investment and brain power goes from the innovation delivering on the requirements. And I think that's the challenge where we all need to be mindful.
Very mindful indeed. Thank you for these insights. I'll move to a more local company next with Katharina, representing Nemly, and Nemly is taking a leading position in our ranking. I think Nemly has taken a leading position in online grocery retailing since the COVID-19 pandemic, in fact. So but however, since then, a lot has changed. The world has sort of gotten back to a new normal and maybe a new crazy normal lately. But how is Nemly's approach to sustainability, and how do you adapt to changing customers' demands, market trends since the pandemic? And what is that trend, if there's any?
Yes, that's a whole lot of questions put into one there. So I'll try to
Right.
maybe address them a little bit one by one. So first of all, yes, a lot of things has changed since the pandemic. Nemly is the first online pure player and grocery store in Denmark, and has been for several years, 15 by now. So we're not really only leading that sort part of the market, but we're actually currently the only player. And that, of course, is a challenge in itself to drive the market towards a different. This is about changing habits with our customers and potential customers, and that's in itself a huge challenge that we're looking into. So the COVID pandemic brought about a force that forced people to change habits for a while, and now we're past that. But a lot has happened, even though we feel like it's been only 5 years. One of the things that matter a lot, for example, in our business in groceries, is price. And since the COVID pandemic, we've had Ukraine, we've had the inflation crisis, and a lot of these things have a really big impact on our business. So I think mainly that's a trend that dominates the way that we also work. And contrary to what you might believe, that price competition is not necessarily a bad thing for sustainability. I think it constantly forces us to look at our business and to tweak it and to make it better and to reduce processes and things that are unnecessary that we could get rid of. And that can also definitely benefit the environment. In terms of other trends, I'd say that we know our customers very, very well. So compared to traditional supermarkets, they know every order. So they know what you bought today. These 10 groceries, they went together, but they can't track or know what you usually buy as a customer. And those are things that we know about our customers. So we know what they buy, how frequently they buy it, when they shop, how long they take to decide on what to get. We can remind them what you may have forgotten based on your last orders, and we can make sure that they sort of leave with everything they need. And the reason why I'm saying this is that all that information is something that we use also in operations to, for example, nudge people to more sustainable choices in terms of proposing different products that might be interesting for them, but also discussions with producers, which in opposition to the other panelists, we're not producing anything at Nemly, we're only a retailer, right? So what we do is we also liaise with producers to say, what sort of customer buys your product? How can we help you develop something that would speak to more people in order to make more people choose both sustainably in terms of the environment, but also for their own health, because health is obviously a big thing in our sustainability discussions as well. Both personal health, but also mental health, so physical and mental, all of it. Yeah, so those are some of the things trend-wise that we're looking into. That's knowledge about our customers is definitely then on our customers' basis, their preferences and what they're asking of us is price and a big focus on healthy eating, and at this point also clean eating.
Yeah, and is that something that you've already implemented or are looking towards implementing with, because you said you have all this vast knowledge on the consumer, and then, I mean, that's the dream for every marketer.
Yes.
So you actually know who is your customer, and in addition to that, know exactly what they are doing throughout,
Yes,
their
so
year
it's
of shopping at you. So is that something that you potentially
already
turn
used.
into?
Yes. Well, the way that we use it is that we use it in the customer's own space. So imagine you become a client at Nemly. You're a completely new client. You log in. Your first time there will be information-wise for us, like you shopping at a normal store. We will showcase everything we have, and you can just, grab off the shelves what you want. But then as time goes by, we get more and more smart in terms of knowing what you want and what we should present you for, what sort of alternatives. And so we already use that information when in the dialogue with you as a customer. So yes, we already do that, and we have also had several partnerships with Danish universities in sort of doing an A/B group testing in how far can we nudge and push people to do plant-based, for example, alternatives to meat, or other things that are interesting to see how we as consumers act. And we have a very special market situation to try some of those things out. And we already do that today, yes.
Yes. So, but the personalization has limitations, so it wouldn't completely personalize the entire shopping experience for me as a vegan. Would I only see Naturli's products on my virtual shelf?
You can, of course, choose to only see Naturli's products. No, but you can absolutely choose to see only, for example, organic groceries. So you have several options to really extremely personalize it. But it's something that we're currently working with, and I can tell you that within 2025, we will have a new platform and a new universe that will take that personalization experience from the UX point of view, from the user point of view, to an entirely new level. Because one thing is what we know about our customers, another thing is how do you get access to your data in terms of knowing how much carbon have my grocery shopping, for example, how much is that over a year, or set your goals for, like, I want to have a smaller carbon footprint with my groceries. So for example, you can track that, things like that. So to maybe give you the cockpit instead of us having all the data, that's something that we're working very hard to utilize and to hopefully get there very soon.
Well, that sounds very exciting. And thank you for sharing this peek into the future of online grocery retailing. And what I'm excited about is that our index here is not just measuring innovativeness at one point in time, but we are tracking it throughout the year. So with that information in mind, we will keep a close eye on this, and through our representative surveys of the Danish consumers. Going back to our key topic, I'll now switch over to Naturli with a few follow-up questions. Henrik, first of all, thank you for joining us third year in a row. It's a pleasure to have you with me. It's always
also a pleasure from my side.
Yes, and I was very amazed by your appearance last year, where you were driving in a cab around London on a way to a meeting. And I like that you make this recurring theme.
Today I can actually tell you, today I was in the great city of Sønderborg in Denmark, giving 150 students at the business school in Sønderborg a talk around Naturli. Because it is actually like this, that 3,000 Danish business school students last year had a examination case around Naturli. and now the schools can use the material for preparation for the examination later this year. And so I get a lot of invitations to go to business schools and tell about Naturally, and also get inputs from the bright and clever young people studying at those schools. So it's amazing. So that was a really good experience on a Friday, and then combined with the Danish Innovation Index, best Friday in a long time.
Yeah, and I like to hear that you also always honor our invitation and like to join us.
Yes,
so
of course.
With Naturally being taking a leading position in our ranking, I've been wondering, when you said you're now taking it to the next step, you're stepping out of the niche where let's say the vegan consumers, that was their only alternative that they actually had in the market to replace certain animal-based products. Now you are switching focus towards the larger market, the other consumers. You're scaling up.
We have done that for quite some years. But maybe from the shades. But we have done. We love vegan and vegetarians, but our target group is actually mainstream consumers, because if we want change, we need to embrace everybody, but in a good way. And it's important. We are not a new religious movement that wants to push everybody to be vegans. For us, it's also enough if you take a brave choice and have a plant-based breakfast. And maybe you like it so much that you go on and also have the lunch, and maybe later the dinner. And maybe you only do it one time a week, or maybe you even go on and have it all week long, and then have a meat day once a week where you can salute in cow milk. That is also okay. I think it's about, we don't want to push consumers, but we want to offer them real, tasty, and good food products.
Yeah.
And of course you could say it's because there's also all this going on, like you say, clean label. You can only live off cow milk, meat, and carrots, because no ingredients can be allowed into food products, which I think is the most silly discussion we have seen in a very, very long time. And of course, I know where all this comes from. About I can't even remember the name, ultra processed food and all this. Of course, it is the big, strong dairy meat lobby using this, because they have the advantage that we can't have in the plant-based food sector, or in the bread sector when you make rye bread. And that is that when you buy 1 liter, let me give you an example. When you buy 1 liter of cow milk, on the declaration, it will just say cow milk. What consumers don't know is that you give, I think it's 7 to 8, maybe more additives into the feed that you give to the cow. For instance, you add calcium into the feeding you're giving to the cow, because you need to ensure that you have enough calcium level in the cow milk. Because of the nutritional declaration you have on the carton. So you give the animals, even if it's pigs or cows, you give them additives into the feed, but you don't have to declare it. And I think that is so wrong. And that is, of course, because of a strong, good work from the animal lobby, that you don't have to do this. So, of course, they have an advantage in just saying, this is only cow milk. No, it's not. It's cow milk where you have added a lot of additives before you're milking the cow. And that is a little bit strange. But to pick it up, we aim for mainstream consumers. And for mainstream consumers, we want to be the navigation mark when you enter a supermarket. It's a little bit like Lego. When you go into a toy store, you can use Lego as the navigation point for a really, really good, sustainable and creative toy solution. And we want to be the same thing in food. So when you enter a supermarket, if you want plant-based, good, tasty, functional food that also comes with an affordable price, a lot of times cheaper than the animal alternative, you can just navigate by looking for the Naturally logo. So that is actually the aim and the strategy. And that's also why I'm really glad that we entered the seafood category, and we also entered the convenience category within the last year.
Yeah, and I can really see how you're going for the mainstream or the flexitarian with those product variations. But
yeah, and I think we have a proven concept that also ensures the supermarket chains, the retailers, our customers, that they can rely on Naturally when we come with a new product. That we have tested it, we have done the work properly, and we'll secure a good sales, because that's another thing. When we need more space in the supermarkets or a new shelf space in the warehouse at Nemlig, we need to take that place from often an animal product that has a high rotation. So that is, of course, also a task where we need to deliver rotation for the retailers, which is, of course, very important.
Do you care to comment on, while you're going in mainstream, let's say mainstream companies are exiting your markets as well? Do you know what I'm referring to?
Yeah. But I have told Arla at least 2 times that if they wanted to have success with milk alternatives, we could produce the most tasty milk alternatives in their brand. But they declined. They said, no, we can do it better ourselves. But yeah, look what happened. They had to, and it's just a story about it's not easy entering a new category, not even if you are one of the biggest dairy companies in the world. And that is also because Arla, they know people who drinks cow milk, but they don't know much about the plant-based universe. And you need a lot of insights. It's taking a lot of years having all these interaction with consumers and getting the insights on what is triggering them to buy a brand. And I think, and I know for sure that people are not only buying a Naturally brand. If you ask vegan and vegetarians, they would also say Naturally is not just a food brand, it's an NGO. They want to change something in the world. They want to provide a solution, be part of the solution on how to fight climate change. And of course, that's a big responsibility to take upon yourself as a food company. But we try to do our best every day, and we strive hard.
And I think it is therefore so important that we have these discussions like we have in this panel here, where we share these insights and we find similarities between companies that are fighting for their fights in their respective industries. And we see similarities, we also see differences, and that's why I bring in this next segment everyone on the stage, and to discuss this a little bit together. What makes great sustainable innovation work for Danish companies, and is there something where you maybe see how Danish companies can work together to lead global innovation sustainably?
Maybe I want to react still on a thought that I actually had on something that Henrik mentioned a couple of times, but I think it also relates to the question you just asked now, Darius, on the point of affordability. and how this connects to mainstreaming sustainable innovation. So I think that's quite remarkable that, yeah, naturally, you mentioned many times, no, that the aim is also to make this an affordable product, because I do think that's not the norm. What we often see is that sustainable products then come at a quite substantial price premium. And then there's something for the rather affluent niche, no, those that can afford it. And in a way, it's also, in terms of the industry dynamic, that's sometimes good because it makes this a high quality, a desirable product, no, that people want to have. But when mainstreaming sustainable innovation, then it often becomes an obstacle, no, that only a few can afford the sustainable price premium. So yeah, just to mention that, I think that was quite remarkable in the talk, but I think Naturli also has a product where, yeah, it makes sense that fish and meat, those are expensive products, and then plant-based proteins might actually become the more affordable alternative. But I think in other industries, talking about differences between companies, that is still a big challenge to solve.
Completely agree, and I can just say, just to add the price of butter at the moment. Actually, right now you can just buy a Naturli spreadable instead of a butter spread, and you would save. It's nearly 10 euros per kilo. Just buying Naturli butter instead, so you can save money and have a really, really good experience, which has actually a carbon footprint which is 4 to 5 times lower than the real butter.
And I can just add also to I think your question there is well also a little bit to, I mean, what is it that Danish companies can, and what is it that we might have that others don't? And I don't know if I'm answering to that question, but at least there is a long history of having strong quality brands in Denmark. And that is definitely an advantage that we're having right now. And that's not only on these consumer brands that we're representing here today. We have that across many different industries where we've had a long history, a lot of family-owned companies. I'm representing one of them also, but where we've had a long history of being able to really focusing on delivering that quality product. And I think that starting point has then been easier in this sustainable innovation track that we're all looking into now, because we have a lot of good backbone and traditions and working and doing things in the right way and having good processes around, etc. And I think that's definitely an advantage in this scheme of things that we're all in right now. Whether we then have the best sort of more environment for upcoming and startups, etc. I think so, but I'm not an expert in that.
I would say if I were to just maybe go back, Darius, to your question of like what can we do together, and I think there's definitely something to be harvested in talking to each other across industries. I also think there's definitely some USPs in the Danish way that we do business and in our trademark around the world of being a Danish company. But I also think there are some of the dynamics that are universal in all businesses. So what Henrik is describing with, for example, big milk producers not being interested in developing a plant-based alternative, well, I don't have to explain why they might not be interested in that. It has been the same for Nemlig, which is also a startup company. Guess if Salling is super interested in doing online groceries? No, they're not. So I think it's just, I think that's a standard response from a market that's really, let's say, comfortable in Denmark, at least for us, and also, for example, with the milk industry for you, Henrik. So that's the standard response. Can we shut that sustainable innovation, or at least that innovation that might be sustainable? It doesn't have to be sustainable, but innovation and disruption, can we shut it down? That will be the first sort of like business go-to reaction. And I think that we luckily have a situation where sustainability is now cheered on in a way that hopefully can make sure that Henrik keeps going and other people have great, innovative, sustainable ideas keep going. And then we need to make sure that the way that we handle that as companies, how do we push back? How do we continue to innovate the way that we work, to sort of actually be a real competitor and not someone you can just sort of brush off your shoulders in the long run. And that's the task that we have. And I think that's the way we also need to work with sustainability, each of us. So we need to work with sustainability at the core of our business. So of course, Lego works with plastic. And if you were Carlsberg, you would work with how do you source water. So it wouldn't make a lot of real world impact if Nemly looked at how do we source water, because we don't use a lot of water. So we need to look at how do I, in my core business, become more sustainable. And it's all good with the big, as you said, Marie, the big requirements and the things that we have to do. And we, of course, we do. And we need to be, compliant. But I think the real innovation comes from when we dare to focus on our core business and really develop that in a sustainable way. Because I think that's really where the real world impact arises. And it's also where our customers can really feel that we are doing something different.
What I understand is that Danish companies have a unique position in that they are quite value-driven at their core. And what I also see is that there's a lot of fertile ground for sustainable innovation to grow among Danish companies. Is this something, however, that you feel is that can be exported? Can that be exported to Europe and to the world, or are there challenges in this regard? I mean, you're the experts on this, but we are seeing a big challenge right now, I think, also to remain economically viable under these external pressures. And some companies or companies in the US are pressured to roll back previous initiatives and change their values. Is it something that you could see?
I mean, I think, and that's maybe more talking personally, that we should just keep doing what it is that we are really good at, and we have a huge advantage of, to your point, having many value-driven companies who've been there for years and also paced it forward for others, and I think that's the advantage that we have, and I think that's the foundation we should continue to build on, regardless also what's happening around. Of course, we all operate in global supply chains and need to understand the playing field and understand our players and meet each other where we can. But our starting point is the same. Who we are is the same, I think.
Do the others agree, or?
Yeah, I would agree. I would fully agree that Denmark is often, or Danish companies, referred to as a front runner in sustainability, an elite market. And in that sense, I think there's many other settings that kind of look up to Denmark and its accomplishments with eco-design. And as Marie said, it has a long history for high quality brands. And so I think indeed that should be kept, this role as a lead, as a role model. And you asked whether this is necessarily transferable. I wouldn't say so, that it's transferable to every other setting. For instance, I don't know, this morning I left my phone somewhere on the table, and then people said, no, it's fully fine. In Denmark, we trust each other. Or this example that I had in the presentation on Kalundborg, and how this collaboration between many different companies was basically based on trust, and it's like a very long-standing one, existing over 50 years. Maybe these things are not necessarily transferable across cultures and geographies, but it's very inspiring. It's very inspiring also for other settings to have. And for that matter, I think it's important to kind of keep going.
I
Maybe
totally
some
agree.
final remarks from...
Yeah, I just wanted to add that in a world that has a very negative cling to it at the moment, and yeah, things are crazy, I think it's really, really important to keep the positive mindset and look positive on the future from our side, and keep on doing what we do really, really good. And I can just say, we've been on food fairs all over the world, and wherever we go, when we tell people and we show it that we are coming from the little kingdom of Denmark, people are saying, "Oh my God, you Danish people, you are just so innovative." And that is the same thing people are saying every time. And maybe I should thank Lego for that, because you have done a great job in doing that marketing and leading the way also for food companies, I think. So yeah, we should lift our head, and we can change something, even though we are a small kingdom with only 6 million people. But we can be the change, and that's my closing remark.
Thank you, Henrik. Katrina, would you like to add, or do you...
Yes, it's. I think it's hardly a Nemlig perspective. It's a very Danish business. It doesn't have international clients or impact at the moment. So we don't experience as Nemlig any specific repercussions of the current climate. So not the environmental climate, but the political one. But I think that we all need to really re-examine what we're doing as the European Union is currently doing, looking into what do we need to really ask companies to do. Then we all need to take that moment to say, okay, so now we've become really more knowledgeable about our organizations. Now, what do we want to work with more? And let's use that space to really become smarter in the way that we work with sustainability, and to not stop doing it, but doing it in the way that really makes sense to each of our businesses.
Thank you. Marie, do you have a final remark?
No, I think I almost started with my final remark, so I'm okay
Yes.
with this for now. Thank you.
Darius,
It's super exciting.
Thank you.
Can I ask one question to maybe the final question to the panelists, because I've had time to kind of take some notes and maybe get things a little bit together, because it seems that there are some challenges of being innovative in an environmental sense and in sustainability. And Marie, you talked about these outside-in requirements that is coming in on the companies, and that it is taking money and I think brain power. And you said one more thing that I don't remember right now, away from actually being innovative. And of course, that's not a good situation if you really think innovation is a good thing, but I hope that at some point we can kind of get these things to go together. But you also talked about some opportunities that these family-owned companies, at least Lego is a representative of that, but also these strong brands that of course both the legacy brands and also the newer brands that are strong. But I'd like your kind of just quickly on, so what about the consumers, because those are the ones that we are looking at and we are surveying. Are the consumers on the opportunities or on the kind of requirement side? I mean, how are they to work with within this field of sustainability?
So I think the consumers are not that focused in on the requirements as such, but of course some of these requirements can help make it more transparent what all of us are doing. I mean, a lot of these requirements that we're faced at right now is not facing consumers, they're facing investors and regulators and all of that. So, but I do think that once we get better, everyone at being transparent around what we do, how we do it, how are we doing it good, and how are we doing it not so good, that can help make it easier for our consumers to make a choice around the products that are right for them. But our consumers, I think, are super focused on the opportunities of doing something that is better for the environment and for society. We see that in all of the engagement that we have with direct with kids also. I mean, they come with amazing ideas around how they would want us to do things in a different way. And they're super concerned about it. Their anxiety varies a little bit of where in the world they are, but generally that they are worried about this and they want us to come up with solutions. So I think that's the mandate we have. We need to find solutions.
Thank you. And without going over time, need to wrap this up now. So yeah, I think the session has really highlighted how companies in Denmark across industries can drive innovation through sustainability, whether by transforming their operations, rethinking and redesigning and reinventing products, or fostering collaboration. So I want to sincerely thank the panelists for sharing their experiences, insights, and strategies today. Your perspectives on sustainable innovation have been truly inspiring and valuable. And now I hand back to Lina, who's closing up this conference.
Yes, I don't want to say much. We are almost there. But I also just want to thank you. And thank you for all the inspiration. And you have given some really relevant input for us all to reflect further on. And I think we can all agree that innovation is important, and also from a sustainability perspective, and how it's perceived by consumers is definitely also very important. And I also think it demonstrates that even though industries and companies, they differ, they can all come together on the fact that green innovativeness is important. So thank you very much. This will be the last words on this year's conference. Reach out if you have questions or interested in further collaboration. So thank you for your participation and have a great weekend.